What is up, everybody? How's it going? How is it going? Where I'm at, there's thunderstorms and craziness, but it's kind of not because it's actually sunny. There was some crazy thunderstorms about 20-ish minutes ago. Well, no, actually, at this point, it's like an hour ago, but it was like 30 minutes. I was texting somebody and talking about it, and it was actually when I texted them, it was 30 minutes ago. So, what is up, Mr. Dan? Morning. And I already said good evening, Dan, because it's evening here. What's up, Dee Dee? How's it going? Yes, evening. Sam T just jumped in. Awesome. Thanks for jumping in. So, how is everybody doing? I'm doing all right. Pretty excited today. Gonna get into some stuff. Dee Dee says she's doing good. That's awesome. Um, yeah, we'll get going here in a minute. I guess Dee Dee, since you're here, I will show you. I made good on the working on your idea with the proportions. I used where is it? It's right here somewhere. I used this book, Women and Girls Reference for Comic Artists Photo Reference. So that was pretty cool to go through that. You know what's funny, Dee Dee, is I like yesterday you did this video and you're talking about like doing the proportions and everything and all that and I would suggest everybody check out her video and see about this portions exercise because I think it's helpful um, to learn about proportions, of course. And so you did that video yesterday, and I get home, I work, I do my work. Your video is like right in my morning time, work time, and I'm done with work. I come home, I check the mailbox, and like I have like this little like tiny like little mailbox everybody's got. It's like in at an apartment building, which is kind of weird because my apartment building is actually more like a house, but they must have installed this little mailbox thing that looks like a classic old school like apartment, mailboxes, and they're super tiny. They're like I feel like they're like the size of this phone, like, and you open the little door, and what is stuffed inside of that thing, but like a very thick, like woman's magazine, like it's not a fashion magazine, but I want to call it a fashion magazine because you were like talking about, you get yourself a fashion magazine and start drawing out these proportions. And it wasn't for me, it's for whoever lived there before me or whatever. But I think it was like Glamour or something, or I don't know. And I just left it there because I'm like, well, this really isn't my mail. But I'm like, how how funny is that? That like you were talking about getting fashion magazines and drawing on them, and like there's one stuffed in my little tiny mailbox. So that was kind of fun. But yeah, just going through, guys, and it really doesn't matter if it's a fashion magazine or any kind of magazine or a comic book. Get some tracing paper, um, and just start, getting the basic parts, and just it's just a good way to like learn what real proportion sizes are. Just get the shoulders, the elbows, tubes for the legs and arms, knees, Just get the very basics, and I think it's also interesting to do it when you're like with foreshortened poses, because it helps you to see what shapes are actually there. Because when you're drawing it from on your own, like it's hard to really tell, like how do you draw that arm that you can only see a little piece of, and things like that. So, and how do you draw stuff foreshortened, So yeah, I think this is a great exercise, and I'll probably keep doing it. So let's see what else is going on. We got doing good. Hello to everyone. Awesome. Yes, it helps to see for sure. Yes. It's so funny. Nelly sings, how you doing? Thanks for stopping by again. Yeah, any magazine with people for sure. So yeah. So that was a fun exercise, which I will be doing more of, I'm sure. Um, man, I went through like freaking. I feel like I went through a creative crisis the last, maybe today, but trying to figure out, like, kind of getting frustrated and maybe a little depressed, like what the heck am I gonna do? Like, what am I gonna do for a comic book project? I don't know. That's what I was thinking today, and I was even chatting with a friend a little bit as I was thinking about it, and you know, I was just like, man, like, do I maybe I need to like do like the 100 days of making comics again or something? I don't know. Like, I am apparently out of my groove because I feel like I never had a situation where I like um I don't know, like I remember when I was, I mean, I went for good, you know, 3 years where I pretty much worked on comics every single day. And I remember, like, I never had a problem coming up with ideas. In fact, that was being able to come up with so many ideas was kind of the problem because I couldn't stick to anything. The only time I could stick to anything was like when when I was doing like an anthology or some kind of challenge or whatever, where I kind of had to finish it. So I'm like, well, do I like impose like a deadline on myself? And I know I've tried to do that too before, and I'm not actually good at that. I'm not good with that either. Like, if it's my own self-imposed deadline, not the greatest thing. It's tough. It's tough when you're your own boss because you can give yourself breaks. Um, so I was just thinking, like, how am I gonna get back in the groove of like this comic thing? How am I gonna like figure out what my next thing is gonna be? Um, and I've kind of been going through this for I guess ever since I started, like I did that one comic for the 9-volt anthology recently. That was the last comic I made. I should show you guys that since it's done and printed. Where Actually, maybe I can show you all my 9-volt stuff that I did. I didn't do many things. I only did 3 things for the 9-volt anthology. But they should be right here. I think, let's see. Or I could show you the Lone Wolf stuff too if you haven't seen it. I know I should have been prepared, but I didn't think that I wanted to do this one necessarily. Oh, here's the one, the latest one. And let's see. I think this is the other one I was in. There's like 3 of them could even show you this. Might as well show you guys the 100 Days of Making Comics stuff too, if you haven't seen that. All right, cool. Got some stuff to show off. I got a nice little stack of Marsh comics. Could show you the mini comics too, but you can also see some of that stuff on my webtoons. Some of this you can see on the webtoons as well. There is a link below for all my links. So anyways, yeah, maybe we'll go through those for a minute, and then I'll continue my story of what the struggles I've been going through. So let's see. I guess we could start at kind of the beginning. Well, if we're going to start at the beginning, then this is kind of the earliest. I don't know. We'll probably end up not being in consecutive order. So this is Pandia, book 1. And I could be wrong. This might not be right that I have art in here. But anyways, this is Paul Kajeji. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him. I think he doesn't really do comics so much anymore. I could be wrong, but I know he was doing like a lot of Blender tutorials and stuff on YouTube and stuff. But in the early days, you know, he was doing this Pandia comic, and it was really cool. I was following his progress, and it's pretty cool. It was interesting because he used Blender to do like all his backgrounds and stuff, especially stuff like this. You know, and he found ways to kind of render it in such a way where it kind of still held that comic book feel and didn't look too CGI, which, you know, I think he did a pretty good job at it, you know. And he has like, you know, some vehicles and stuff. Like I remember when he was designing this room and everything, and then he could turn it in any angle he needed, you know, to create the shot, and then he just drew the characters in there. This is like a perfect example of where he did that, you know. So that was pretty cool. And I was a fan watching the progress of what he was doing. Thought it was pretty neat. And anyways, we had become somewhat friends, you know, I guess. And he asked for a pinup, and I think it's in here. This is not a really great pinup, and it ended up being more of like a letters page drawing or whatever. And I'm pretty sure is it in? Oh, maybe it's not in here. Well, if it's not, that's okay. It's in an issue or something like that. I'm not 100% sure exactly where it is. Yeah, it's not in here. But anyways, one of my earliest published things, you know, besides the mini comics and stuff, was in the pages of one of these books. And one day I'll find it and show you guys, you know. So there's that. Then we got, of course, the 100 Days of Making Comics Life in Space Anthology. And, you know, many of you probably know about all this stuff, but a lot of great creators were involved in this, some of which are sometimes in the chat too, which is really cool. Mike Emirates, myself, here we could see probably in the thing. Myself, see Marshall Lee, Chris McQuinlan, and Mike Emirates. We're the ones who kind of came up with the idea to do an anthology. I think it might have been suggested by some people too, but I don't know. I don't think it was, though. I think we kind of came up with it. And, you know, we just were people who were talking to each other through the 100 Days of Making Comics challenge. We're like, let's make why haven't we made an anthology yet? Like, it only makes sense. So here's Mike Emirates' stuff. I mean, his stuff is so sick. It's so good. It's very dense. This one particular story that he did is super dense, like storytelling, and I mean, he put a lot of work into this, and he did an amazing job. I love his work. And everybody did a really cool job. Here's mine. This is the hitchhiker and the character Seti. And actually, in this book is a huge mistake and misprint for my story, which is very unfortunate. I didn't even notice it until I think it was until after we even are close to when we were printing the second anthology or something like that. I didn't even notice it. And I'm like, oh well, not a big deal. But like the big payoff at the end is this page, and there's supposed to be like dialogue here. And for some reason, they got the page without the dialogue. Probably my fault. Here's Chris McQuinlan's work. But I guess I should go through it a little slower. Yeah, so if you guys want to see it. Um, I don't think I haven't put this one up on my what do you call it? The website that has stuff on it. I can't think of what it is. Webtoons. So this is the first page, the second page, third page. It's just kind of a goofy little story where I was kind of trying to do Star Wars my own way, but kind of where it doesn't have to be humans who are the main characters, because you don't need to actors to play it and everything. And so this is kind of my thingy, mostly this was all hand drawn on Bristol board, 11 by 17. And I didn't really use too much rulers because that's the way I roll a lot of times. And yeah, I don't know, it was a fun little story. So there's that, Life in Space. Then we got the 100 Days of Making Comics, Werewolves and Unicorns and Other Mythical Creatures. Another awesome thing that we did. And we got, this time, Chris McQuinlan decided he didn't want to be a part of it. And, there was kind of this group of people put together to put this book together. Myself and Mike Emirates were involved. Mike Emirates was the leader of the group, which was agreed upon by the group. And we did some more comics, and there's again some of the people in the chat were involved in this comic as well. Probably, I'm pretty sure. Here's Mike Emirates' story, which was really cool. Again, his stuff is. I always am impressed. I'm impressed by everybody like doing their thing. Oh, here's Joshua Kimball was in this one. He did this story. Dragon Learns to Share. And that's cool too. Scott. No, this isn't. Oh, this is why am I blanking on his name? Gazbot. That was a cool one. Oh, look, you can see Gazbot. The Gaz. So this one was cool. There's a lot of cool ones in this book. Both books. I'm not going to shout out everybody, but here's C.B. Smallwood, which is really awesome. Another cool story. I think Jeff Lafferty's in here. Here's Robert Johnston. I'm having a hard time with names today for some reason. I don't know why. This Chris McQuinlan did have a story in this, though. He just wasn't taking a big part. I think he had some things going on, stuff. I forget what was going on, but a lot of cool people, man. It was really great stuff here. Let's see. One of these days we'll get to mine. Yanimal. You guys might know Yanimal. And we got the Jeff Lafferty one in here. Certainly worth getting. If I ever get my website up and running, I mean, I could do a giveaway too. I got plenty of copies of these things. So, but here's mine, Punch Out. Pretty cool. I had a lot of fun with this one actually. This is probably one of the most fun I've had with making comics. Was this one because I just got to draw a lot of action. I feel like I stepped up my game. It's just kind of a two guys punching each other type of thing. That's why it's called Punch Out, a retro fresh comic by Marshall Lee. It's only 4 pages long, but I did it and I thought it was fun. So, yeah. Again, lots of cool people involved. Here's Scott Circlin's works. It's really cool. So, yeah, very fun. I'll try not. Maybe I shouldn't show everybody's stuff because I don't want to I don't know if people want their stuff to be shown or not. This is the one I worked on for a long time. This took probably like 6 months or so for me to work on my part in it, and I think it was like a 13-page story. Lone Wolf by Doug Garrett, and everybody. It's kind of like the Wildcat anthology. Everybody got a chance to kind of take their swing at his character, so that was pretty cool. And this is probably the most involved, like fully, like from A to Z comic I've made, except for I didn't write it, but I did the pencils, the inks, the coloring, and I even kind of embellished. I created a character. I created the monsters. I embellished like my own part of the story into it. But the Sword of the Samurai, art, colors, letters by Marshall Lee, written by Doug Garrett. And yeah, he let me just have all kinds of liberties with it. And again, I had a lot of fun with this one. This is where, like, when I was talking with Didi about the Hokusai, that's why I was like looking up, Japanese artists and stuff. And Hokusai was like kind of the guy who I kind of got this from. He always does these like ghosts and demon creatures with these long necks. That's part of like Japanese culture and stuff. But yeah, I'm pretty proud of how this came out. It's a little bit blown out with the camera and stuff. Like, that's actually like green tints, but it just looks like bright white. Maybe I could fix the white balance or something, or turn down the brightness a little bit, just a little bit. Saturation maybe will help. Hopefully that helps a little bit. I think it looks a little better, right? And then this was a fun page. All these were fun pages. Creating these creatures and stuff. Wish I could see. It's hard when I put the focus down here automatically, so you can't see it super great. It's weird because I don't want it to change focus, but then when I do, I do. But yeah, they're just fighting demons, Pretty cool. It's kind of funny how a bunch of this stuff like is like reflected in my decision today, the stuff I want to do today. Like I thought these were some cool panels. Really playing with that long neck ghost situation, and thought it was some pretty cool moments, Had to draw horses a little bit. Gave it my best shot. They're pretty basic. You didn't get their legs in there, so that's kind of purposeful. And then, yeah. I kind of have the black and white version up, or I did at one point on my website, but at some point I'll put this up probably on my webtoons as well. This is where I kind of expanded it because I wanted to do a nice splash page. I think it came out pretty good. This might be, it's kind of, it feels like my first attempt at like really making full on comic books, and really trying to, I think it did okay. It took way longer than I would have liked it to. So yeah, that was a fun. I'm very proud. I'm proud of the work. Like I'm glad I was able to get these things done. So here we go. 9-volt anthology number one. This is. I'll just try to get to mine. There's a lot of awesome artists in this. People in the chat were involved with these as well. All this stuff. I mean, my community is made up of people I've kind of worked with, in one capacity or another, a lot of times. So here is Expando. That's the you could tell it's kind of funny. This is the whoops. This is the character design where I designed him, and I'm using Scott Cirkland's character design template. You can see the kind of lines from that and everything, and that. So that's kind of neat little tidbit. But this one I'm really proud of too. I started using some like the duotone digital version of duotones. I think I did this whole thing digitally. I want to say I did this digitally. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I did Lone Wolf digitally too. So yeah, I kind of went on a time of just mostly doing digital stuff, if I remember correctly. So yeah, this character is like my take on like the Plastic Man genre or whatever. That whole like Mr. Fantastic and all those like. There's been a few characters out there in the past who've had like that same kind of power. This is where he's like getting the power, the suit. He kind of stumbles into this. I think is it a comic shop? Yeah, Casper Comics. Um, and it's just got all kinds of knickknacks and old stuff. And one of them is this thing, and apparently it makes him have powers. And lo and behold, there's a big bad guy that is coming down the block, and his name is the Block, and he's made up of street bricks and asphalt and concrete, and just made up of the city. So I thought that was fun to draw. And you can see he's like lifting up this guy who was kind of a jerk, but even jerks need to be saved, because maybe there's a chance for them. And Expando does his thing and expands. He's kind of a little bit different than Elastic, like a Plastic Man type of thing. It's more like one of his limbs like expands or something to do certain things. It's not so much as like Mr. Fantastic. It's meant to be a little bit different. It's like my take on it. And then it's kind of supposed to be continued, but will I ever continue it? Who knows? So yeah, that was that one. I'll show this one, even though it's not my art, but I did write it. So there's one thing, like there's this concept in any kind of writing, really, where you're supposed to show, not tell, like that thing people say, show, don't tell. And one way to learn how to do that, I think, as a writer, especially, or even as an artist, is to do a silent comic. So I wrote this comic, and never thought of this back then, but I wrote a comic that's silent, which seems kind of weird because there's no dialogue, but technically, you know, it's it's still written. Like I created the characters and wrote them, and I even designed the characters too. And then I handed it over to Mr. Monkey Wrench, um, because to do the art, and he did a freaking amazing, insane job. Now, this cover right here, he laid it out very loosely, like just kind of the shapes of the figures. You could tell which figures were who, but it was very loose. And then he wanted me to ink it or whatever. And I mean, I'm telling you, like they were not much, there wasn't much there, but he did give me a good foundation to work off of. And I'm actually pretty proud of this because like his art's really cool. Mine's not as good as his, but I feel like this came out really good, and I'm pretty proud of this image. So I did do some art in it, just for the cover thingy. Um, I mean, he did. It is. He must have put some lines because I'm looking at this monkey face, and I'm like, I wouldn't have drawn the monkey face like that. Like those look like his lines, so there is some definitely his touches in there, so I guess there it wasn't as loose as I think I'm remembering it, but I still feel like I did a good job. But this is his art's freaking amazing. Like look at this stuff, it's so beautiful. So Janaconda versus the Tiger King. I mean, this is such a cool little comic. And I wanted to do the jungle girl trope, that has been in comics, especially older comics. So her hair kind of has powers and can help her fight, and she can call upon, her friends in the jungle and stuff, but she runs into these like mechanical animals, these monkey characters, and this like cyber tiger, basically. Um, and I don't know. I feel like it's a really cool story, and especially with Aaron Guzman's art, Monkey Wrench, Aaron Guzman, it's freaking amazing. Like his art is so freaking good. I love it. So I'm really proud of this piece too. These books are like so like like want to close on me, but he did such an amazing job, and I'm really happy about this work. Here's a Frank piece in here. I think, is that Frank? Yep, Salazar Comics. So there you go. Lots of people involved in these things, and then this is the latest. And this is kind of why I started this thing of like, let's look at the, anthologies that I was in and stuff, because this is the latest thing I've done. And I'm thinking, you guys haven't seen really of the new one. And it's only 4 pages. Peter Seckler helped me kind of come up with the idea, but then I just took it from what he said. I basically did what he said, but kind of just made it my own. So that was cool that he helped me with that, because I was having a hard time. Even then and this is like months ago, like even then I was already I was trying to get back into comics. This is how I'm going to get back into comics. And even then I was having a hard time figuring out, which is the whole point. And we got, Sideburns. I think this is Sideburns comic right here. And where's mine? Yeah, Daniel McGinnis, also known as Sideburns. Mine's in here somewhere. Oh, I think it's like the first one, and I skipped over it. That's why. I'm never the first one. That's kind of cool. So this is called The Commute. And like I said, Peter Seckler helped me think about it. Oh, and also Aaron Guzman helped let me use one of his automatic drawings as like the background in certain parts. And so this is just me like talking about driving to work, and it's a long drive. And usually when I'm driving, I'm thinking about ideas for comics and, whatever creative projects I'm working on. And look, I drew a couple cute little bunnies from reference. So that was kind of fun. I stole the panel layout from specifically from like public domain comics. So the first thing I did with this story was I went to found some public domain comics and I stole 4 panel layouts because I knew it was going to be a 4-page story. And then I created it around through, I created the comic within those panels. It wasn't all I did was kind of write some dialogue and it was kind of rough. And that's how I really wrote it. It was a really simple, just kind of trying to get back into comics thing. And it's like, it's me, like, so it's kind of auto bio. I guess this is the only time I've ever done auto bio, really. But it's like a goofy auto bio. And, I go into like this, tunnel and then come out. And this is, now me imagining different worlds and stuff as I'm on my way to work. And there was some car tracing going on here and there. I was just experimenting with doing the tracing thing a little bit, but then the car turns into like a monster and stuff, and there's like this funny monster there, and then I'm spit out of the tongue here, and there's a little car fart. And like I said, all this background stuff is Aaron Guzman's automatic drawing. He let me use it, so that was really cool of him. And this is the last page, and just kind of going through the motions, and then at the end, I'm on my way to work. But there's a little funny guy hanging out, trying to attach himself to me. So again, another anthology down. So that was fun. So, I mean, I went through those because I wanted to show you that last one because most people haven't probably seen that story. And there's a certain time limit to where you're not supposed to like release it on your own type of thing. Um, so I said all that to continue talking about like it's been really hard. It's been like a struggle trying to figure out like what the heck am I gonna do for my next comic. And so I'm gonna catch up with the chat and I'll continue with that. Um, let's see. A lot of stuff is you guys just talking to each other. If there's anything you want me to specifically respond to, put put it in all caps, please. Um, they're talking about my my koala warrior guy. Here, we'll show you guys that again. This is from the other night, off of the prompt of Dee, and I forget who said the koala thing, but somebody else asked me to draw it as a koala, and so that was a last minute addition. Background story on your koala warrior. I know that's going to be the new comic, guys. No, just joking, but that could be fun too. Let's see. I wrote a bit this morning, hoping to make it a routine. I do go back and forth with art and writing, admittedly. Yeah, I mean I think I'm learning that, and I guess I already know this, but like art, art kind of comes from struggle sometimes. 30 days to make it a habit. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good thing that does. I don't think there's any like it's like definitely 30 days necessarily, but I do think that's a good amount of time to test out if you can get into that habit. The more time the better. But yeah, I agree. Just begin the journey. My nose is doing that thing where it gets stuffy when I talk a lot sometimes. It's really weird. So sorry, that's probably gross. Um Weren't I in the previous one? I'm wondering which one you're mentioning, but I was in three 9-volt anthologies, and I was in, the two 100 Days of Making Comics anthologies. I think that's kind of most of the stuff I've been in. Sometimes I forget one here or there, so there might be another one that I'm not thinking of. Wow, really nice. Thanks. Which one do you have? Oh, so you're talking specifically of what I'm doing at the time. So, and then you said Gazbot. So it's it's got to be the second one. That's the one that you have, the werewolves and unicorns. But do you have the first one that had like the funky like sci-fi cover? That one, and another thing that's cool about that first one is Kevin Cross, who published with Mark Rudolph a Monkey Mod story. They worked on together like many years, well, a few years before that. They agreed to let us put that as the last book in the first 100 days of making comics anthology, and he did the cover. So it was just cool to have like, Kevin's blessing on the whole project. He was kind of not doing 100 days of making comics stuff so much anymore, but we definitely had his blessing on that first project, especially. We had it on both projects actually, but it was just it was really cool to have him be part of it even a little bit. Glad Man Comics. I've been having a similar artistic crisis as well, but I think I realized that I get more joy from just making simple 4-panel comics than trying to make a full-length manga or comic. I mean, you got to know your lane. Like, what are you into, man? Like, um, format's a big thing. Format is super inspiring to me, so I'm curious to try different formats. There's like a weird. Is it flashing? It doesn't look like it's flat. Like my screen is flashing on the StreamYard screen, but on like I have the screen of like my like the where I can adjust stuff with the camera, and it looks like it's flashing. But if you guys see like a lot of flashing, maybe there's something I can do to fix that. Um, Anyways, a lot of awesome art. Thank you. Do do do. Nice work, Marsh. Thanks. Let's see. Everybody's talking to each other. Hey, my story. Yep, it was in there, man. Do do do. Yes, Sideburns did the cover to at least which one? Let's see. Was it Uncanny Journeys? You did the cover to this one, right? I think this is the one. And it came out awesome, front and back. And I think Aaron Guzman did the colors. I think this came out awesome. Really cool. Yeah, because I remember you asking about like, people's characters and stuff, and I didn't respond because I was like, well, my character's me, kind of. I don't know, and at that time I think I hadn't really drawn much of it, maybe, I don't know. Um, so it just didn't really apply to me, and that's okay. It doesn't need to be on the cover. What do chickens order at Chinese restaurants? Egg rolls. Nice. Sounds kind of cannibalistic. I don't know about you guys, but reminds me of my old vlogs. Oh yeah? Yeah, I guess you're right, because like I'm sitting here talking about the struggle. Oh, but maybe some of the art too, because the art in the vlogs, I was doing those, especially the lone wolf one, and I mean that my vlogs were full of all that art from those stories. So yeah, that's interesting. Do 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 do. I think I have the first one, would have to look. I know I have werewolves. Okay, interesting. Well, I mean, if you don't have the first one, let me know because I got plenty of them. I'm not quite sure. Koala Shogun. Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah. So I guess it must have been you who said the koala thing? It was fun though. Whatever it was fun. Yes, Aaron Guzman is awesome. I agree. Oh, the one about myself. That makes sense. That reminds you of the old vlogs. I gotcha. Yeah, because I could see that because I mean, a lot of times I did my vlogs in the car, driving to and from work and stuff, and so that's a good point. That's funny. So yeah, um, I guess back to the story. Oh, just also, just so you guys know, and I'm gonna mention more of it later. I don't know. Ronnie Gunther might come on. I don't know if he's gonna end up coming on. Maybe I should text him, let him know. Well, he already knows, so. But I'm gonna mention it now, just in case he doesn't, and just in case I forget. Um, Ronnie's been doing really awesome about like working on his comic and stuff, and doing some cool stuff. He's got a web comic, and I should get the link to that, but I don't know how to find that right now. But I should get the link to that and put it in the description. But he's got a web comic, and you know, if you don't know about his story, like, and he does that like horror show with Jason Alexander and stuff, and I think it's Comics de la Muerto or La Muerta. I don't know how to say Spanish, but anyways, he puts in a lot of work and keeps being really consistent. But the thing is if you most likely know he's got like this condition where he's in pain and he has these spasms and things like that, and it makes him not be able to work very easily. And but he still keeps going. He's such an inspiration because like even with all that, he still gets things out and makes things happen. But and hopefully he'll come on and explain this better than I can. But he's got a GoFundMe going on, and there's a link in the description, and I'll put the link in the chat as well, um, to help him. It says it's to afford to go on short term disability. So you know he's trying to make his life work, and it's really difficult because he's got to work, and but at the same time he can't work. So I think he's working kind of partially, and the problem is, if he goes on disability, then that brings in other limitations and stuff, that will cause problems with him even being able to do the things he wants to do. And I mean, like I said, I don't really want to speak for him, um, but here I'll put the link in the description. I really want to help like spread the word about this and stuff because he's just an awesome dude that really works hard, and this is like one of those ways you can like really really support an artist. It's like I mean, everybody, we talk about supporting each other, and we do, and it's really cool. But a lot of us don't have the health struggles that some people do. And my heart goes out to him, and he's all right. He's doing, relatively all right, but he's struggling. He struggles all the time, and I think he doesn't really talk about it too much. So um if anybody can help, that would be like greatly appreciated. And we may talk about it a little bit more later. We'll see if Ronnie comes around, but I just wanted to let you guys know, like, please go help him out. Like I said, he if there's anybody who kind of needs, some kind of help and disability stuff, it's him. So, oh, Ronnie's here, cool. So yeah, man, if you're able to um, let me know where I can send the link to join the video, and we'll talk about it a little bit more whenever that is, or if you can't, that's fine too. So yeah, Crimson Owl Comics, that's Ronnie right there. So um, help a brother out, a brother in art, in the art community, who could definitely use some help. So that being said, let's get back to you know the lesser struggle. Send it through text message. See, that's the thing that might be a little tough to do, but I can do it. I'll just send myself a little email real quick. Actually, with this new computer, I think I can text through it. Hey, that's cool. I forgot about that. I can do that. It'll be a good test. Let's test it out. Why isn't it clicking? Do. Sorry for this brief something or other. Why isn't it? Apparently, it doesn't want to work. Oh, do I have to unclick from that? Why is it being stupid? Apparently, it doesn't work as smoothly as I'd like it to. Maybe there's too many things open. Okay. Sorry, I'm having like technical difficulties over here that are weird. So I'm just going to email it to myself because, that functionality isn't functioning. And we'll get him in here soonly. Do. All right, I've emailed it to myself, and now I can get it from my email and text it. This is how I do the show too, like to send to people or to send to even myself stuff. It's probably much easier ways to do it, but yeah. So let's get over here to Ronnie and the text message. I don't think I'm showing my phone. That's good, right? Just in case there's a number there or something. So I've sent the text message, Ronnie. So come on in whenever you're ready. All right, let's get back to what we're doing here. Do. Where am I? All right, here I am. Would you mind if I throw a summary of my story out there just to see what you think? Yes, you can do that. But I may not get to it for a little while because we got a couple things going on here. Aaron's stuff reminds me of H.R. Geiger. Really? Interesting. Oh, yeah, I could have done it in a Discord message, but he's here now, so we'll make this happen. What's up, dude?
How's it going?
It's going all right, man.
I'm on my phone, not near the work computer right now.
Yeah.
So I'm doing all right, hanging in there.
Yeah.
Appreciate you sharing it, man.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's
anything for
a brother.
Tough.
Yeah, it's been tough. When you have your doctors, it's great you have doctors that support you and care about your health more than just giving you medicine and saying, "Oh, I'll see you in a couple months." But yeah, my doctor's like, "I think you need to retire on disability," and that's hard to do just because I make more now than if I went on full-time disability, and on top of it, you are only allowed to make $1,350, I think, a month. So basically, it's like one of those things like I could have gone on disability and just focus on selling my art and stuff like that. But then I would have to make sure I don't make so much money from my art, or my some of my benefits could be taken away. And that's just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the tough thing, with
Yeah,
disability and any kind of, handout, unfortunately. I
yeah,
mean, or I should say just like help from the government. I don't want to say handout, that's kind of negative,
yeah.
um, but even like, welfare and stuff like that, it's like once you go on it, it's hard to get off of it.
Hmm.
And you need the money, but then it's such a jump to get away from it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it really is. And it, like you say, I talk to it privately about some people, but yeah, it's tough. It really is. It's been going almost 3 years having to deal with this illness, and you know, people see my artwork and they're like, "Wow, your style is, changed so much, and your work's so good." But people don't realize, like with a dystonic trimmer,
Mhm.
unlike a Parkinson's trimmer, it could happen because you're doing certain activities. Like
Yeah.
people don't realize is that, the way we would write holding a pencil than using our hand to play a piano, we're using different muscles to do those different tasks. So literally, you could be able to you know, write out paperwork that you need for a doctor's office. But some musicians, when they get to playing the piano, their hand just wants to cramp up and not work.
Mm.
And with me lately, I'm able to draw, but I'm not able to draw for hours on end like I used to, just because my hand wants to not cramp up. It wants to have the trimmer like you would see someone with Parkinson's. And that gets upsetting just because, you know, my therapist and my doctor's like, yeah, the more stressed you are, the more the movement disorder is going to affect you. Even people with Parkinson's, the more upset you are, the more it's going to affect you, and your body's just going to shake more. So, yeah, just trying to cut out any type of negativity, and then not drinking caffeine because caffeine makes it bad. And yeah, it's just crazy having to deal with this. And my doctors are, again, always telling me to take a break. And they're like, well, won't you at least go on some short term disability if you can't afford the full right now? And I'm like, that would be great, but you only get 60% of your check. And with me, I can't afford 60% because I got to pay for rent, and I do monthly doctor visits. Like, I literally take like 10 pills a day. And then on top of it, I have to, every 3 to 4 months, I got to get like a 5-inch needle stuck 5 times in my shoulder and once in my neck. And getting a needle in the neck hurts. It
Yeah,
really does.
I cannot even imagine. Jeez.
But and with my mental therapist, she's like, your art, besides it being a career for you, it's it's your it's your go-to to detox and relax.
Mhm.
And yeah, so when there's days where my hand just won't stop shaking, or my hand just won't cooperate, yeah, it really sucks,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah. I really, I mean, I can imagine a little, because honestly, my ex-wife, some of the stuff that you talk about reminds me of like the stuff she was going through, and still probably
Hmm.
is, and it's crazy. It's rough. And I don't know what it feels like, that's for sure. But I can imagine
Yeah.
I already know it's really disruptive. I mean, I think they even changed your role at your job, right? To do less work and
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm a customer host. I'm those people that ask to see your receipt just to make sure you paid for everything. So I'm the people that people hate, especially if you're at a Walmart, my
Yeah.
Walmart, because I work for Walmart, and I work one of those stores where you have nothing but self checkouts, and you get customers who get really mad saying, I can't believe this. I had to wait in 20 minutes in line to cash myself out. And now I'm supposed to show my receipt to you guys. I'm like, well, it's my job. I have to, you know,
If
I
it's
can't do
keeping
physical. I can't do a
employees,
lot of physical work, you
yeah,
know, because
yeah,
like the dystonia affects different parts of my body. Like my right foot, sometimes if I get really overstressed, like and it will twist and shake on its side, and I can't move it at all.
wow,
So, and the best, like, besides the fatigue, because some days I'm really tired, like, so tired, I don't want to get out of bed, but I need to make that money. Even though I got FMLA, like 480 hours of medical hours, but I don't get paid for that.
hmm,
So, you know, and my doctor's like, you could be on you could be on FMLA as long as you want. But she told me, it's like, how long do you think you could keep on going with this? And I'm happy that I have a doctor that really cares about me. But you know, like you were saying, the government doesn't help out a lot. Like
yeah,
if you become disabled like around your retirement age, or you become disabled around like when you're a kid, you have more benefits. But if you're right in the middle, like the age that we are, I know
mhm,
you're a little bit older than me, it's really hard for you to have like any type of resources.
yeah, yeah, totally. Oh man,
But
yeah,
gotta but comics make me happy. I know comics could be frustrating sometimes because you're trying to grow as an artist and have your perspective. But I mean, I love comics. I love doing artwork. I love doing my comics Della Morte show where we talk about horror comics and horror topics in general.
yeah. Actually, you know what? Send me. I can look up the link to that. But if you can, what was it? Oh, send me a link to your comic that you're working on, so people can check it out. I mean,
Yeah, not
most
a
of all,
problem.
I'm hoping people will go and help out the GoFundMe. I mean,
Yeah, because right now the comic, it's like in 3 issues right now. I'm working on getting the fourth one finished, but definitely after the whole first. I don't know about. Uh, Still able to hear me?
yeah,
Okay, yeah, but yeah, after I get done with this first like whole story, I'm gonna publish it in a physical book. I just wanted to like really get my work out there for people to read, and you know gain a following and show people that I love horror comics and the horror genre, and I hope that it really shows.
yeah, yeah, totally. I think it does show. I mean, I've been enjoying seeing the progress as you keep making more comics and stuff. Um, so I'm gonna put a link in the description for Ronnie's. Did I? I know I put the link in the description before. Okay, I'm also gonna put it's already got the GoFundMe in there, but I'm gonna
I
put
put in the
what's that? Yeah, I'm gonna. Oh, you put it in the private chat, probably is what you said. I think you blanked out there, or maybe I blanked out. Hopefully not. But I'm putting the link to Ronnie's YouTube because he's got the comics de la Muerte show with Jason Alexander, and then I'll also put the link he sent me for his actual comic in there as well. Looks like he put it in the private chat. Yeah, for some reason I'm not hearing you anymore, Ronnie, but I'm glad you got your story in there for now. Oh, I can add you. Okay, here we go. You there now?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool. So he's also got this web comic on Tapas, and I'll put that also in the comments. I'll put
Yeah,
all the stuff in the comments.
yeah. I don't know how to do that with the phone. It's a little different with the phone.
But I mean, you can check out like this is what he's doing, and it's like even with all his troubles, he's making this thing happen, And I think that's freaking awesome. It's freaking
Yeah, I
inspiring,
mean,
honestly.
yeah, I appreciate it. But yeah, it's definitely one of those things I don't like to talk about a lot because I just want people to know me for my work and for just having fun on YouTube and creating a great show where people could feel welcome instead of like just here, I'm sick. I don't like to talk about it too much, you know.
Yeah, and it's understandable, and that's another thing that I feel like is commendable is the fact that you know everybody has a different situation when they have like pain and stuff, and some people go through it gracefully, some people don't, and you really seem to go through it, at least in public gracefully, and that's certainly commendable. You don't have to,
Yeah, yeah.
So, um, Ronnie's YouTube as well. So all the links are now about to be in the chat, and they will also be in the description very soon. So,
Appreciate it.
but yeah, I mean, I really hope everybody can send out their prayers, and also help out with the GoFundMe, because sheesh, it's like one of those. It's an overwhelming issue.
Yeah.
I feel like
And
just
it's just sad, not just for my case, but a lot of people out there who are sick, but they can't afford to not work just
yeah,
because the way the economy is.
yeah. All right, I'm trying to make sure I get the link in there. It's hard to like you know figure out where all the stuff is when you're doing a show at the same time. But I'll be right
Oh
back to that
yeah,
in a second
yeah.
here.
I,
Just
I know the feeling.
yes, you do, right? How has your the show been going with the YouTube and everything?
Oh, it's great. We the past May we did our second anniversary. We've had a lot of guests on the show. Like right now, I don't want to go into too much detail, but me and one of the guests from the show, we're doing a collab together. So that's awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So and
Like
that
a
collab, no,
collaboration?
no, a calendar.
Okay, cool.
I'll talk. Well, I could talk a little bit about it. I just won't go into too much detail. But this artist we've had on the show, me and him, talked a little bit, and he has his own horror comic, but also he does horror pinups. Like he knows some actresses that are famous for being in horror movies. So me and him are making a whole calendar dedicated to female horror actors. So I got like the lady who played Alice in Nightmare on Elm Street with Freddie in the picture. So it's just going to be a whole calendar with my art and his art dedicated to like females who are actors for those movies. So yeah, it's really fun.
That sounds awesome. That'll be fun for sure. So again,
Oh yeah,
not only when for the GoFundMe, but it sounds like you're going to be putting out some stuff. So definitely everybody, keep in touch with Ronnie. Watch it. Check out his show, especially if you're into horror stuff, and you'll get to know when his stuff comes out, and you can support him that way too.
yeah, yeah, and it's been really great doing the show, like having Jason with me, and then it's great to have a. It's always great to have a co-host So that way
Mhm.
you guys are coming off asking different questions, and then it's really cool with the show. We've had so many contacts now that are like, invite us back to the show just to talk about a horror topic. And yeah, I'm happy that people actually, get excited to come on, because with any type of comic book artist, that you could feel that you're just going from one YouTube to the next to talk about your book and how you came up with the idea of your book. But if you're like a fan of that genre, especially when it comes to horror, why not just promote your book, and then for the next 30, 45 minutes of the hour show, just talk about, what your favorite horror movie is, what made you love horror, what's your favorite 80s horror slasher. So that way you're not just a person selling your book, but you're actually showing people the type of person, like things that people might like that are interested in. Like, oh yeah, I like that movie too because of this, this, and this. So yeah, it's just a fun show, especially if people like that type of genre.
Yeah, yeah. And I actually think, I've talked to some of my friends about this and stuff, and it's like, and this was actually brought up to me, and I agree with it. It's is sometimes we do like my channel's gonna probably always be about comics.
Yeah.
It's just the nature of what I like to do, you
Hmm.
know. If you make comics and you do a channel about something else that's kind of related to the comic you're making,
Yeah.
that's like a great, like, I feel like that's a better way actually to go, and you can actually get a lot more attention for doing that kind of thing. It won't work for my channel, unfortunately, but hey, I'm just gonna do my thing.
Yeah, yeah, because what was it? I think up to like four or five, I think five now, where we've had like five different artists come on the show, and they each have their own divisional like story about zombies, and five of their books of each person, like, the story's different, but those people love zombies for a reason because of certain movies. So, if they're able to promote their work, and then, for a little bit, maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes, just go into a topic of like, you know, Night of the Living Dead, the very first zombie movie that really made zombies put on the map when it came to that. If you could get like a bunch of creators who are like comic book artists and love that type of movie, it's fun. You could just come around and just have some fun. That's it. you
Yeah.
know. And what's crazy too is like there are so many horror movies out there, like Nightmare on Elm Street, and all these other horror genres that they literally take those movies and make into comic books. Like there's people out there that didn't know that back in like the 80s and 90s. Of course, now you try to find one, it's like $100 or more, that you could read a comic book about Freddy Krueger and stuff like that.
Hmm.
you know and that's what's so great about horror, is that they could it you could translate it so well to comics or movies, because most of it should be about like fast-paced images and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it all kind of works in together pretty
Hmm.
good. So cool, man. Well, like I said, everybody, oh, click the comment above that one. I'm not sure. I'm trying to see.
And thanks for, I wasn't able to see, but I seen someone sub to me. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and people, I don't know, what you can see or not, but people are in here. They're saying, that they're going to be praying for you and all that stuff. There's a bunch of people, you know,
I
who I think
appreciate it.
are going to have you in their prayers, which I think is, people. I don't know if I think you've been open about saying that you're, a believer and stuff,
Yeah.
and you know, so there's a bunch of those weird Christian types in my community. So people will be praying. So that's really cool. I'm glad that's
Whatever helps. Prayers, donations, or just even just talking about it whatever helps.
Oh, so Dee Dee's saying follow Mallory O'Meara. And she said, there's another comment I think that she wrote. Okay, or somebody else wrote. I don't know. I don't think this is the
I'll take
one.
screenshots or I'll go back and look.
Yeah,
But
Dee
yeah.
Dee's saying she is all about women and horror and wrote the biography on the woman that created the creature from the Black Lagoon. Millicent
Yeah, and
Patrick
that's and
is.
like I don't want to I don't want to go too much in it, but that's what I love about horror too is that before you had a lot of these female characters coming out now that are the strong female leading type, horror
Mhm.
movies was where women got to shine as being the hero. Like you had Ripley
Mm,
kicking the xenomorph's butt. You have the Nightmare on Elm Streets where it's usually the female that kills Freddy. So, it's sure a lot of horror movies you have women that are naked in there, but if you were born in the 80s and 90s, pretty much those female characters that were winning up against the monster, that was females like role models back then because a lot of action movies didn't have females in it like they do now.
yeah, and it's not exactly a horror movie. The first one kind of is, but of course, Sarah Connor as well. She's
Yeah,
kind of.
exactly. Hmm.
The first one kind of was a horror movie, but the second
Yeah.
one was more of an adventure, I guess, or something. Sci-fi. Um,
Oh, thank you. I saw someone says my art looks amazing. I appreciate it.
yeah, Nero Yama says Ronnie's art looks amazing. That's awesome.
Thank
I
you.
Many crossovers to Terminator, Comics Predator, Comics Alien, Xenomorph Comics. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, yeah. Like people don't know out there, but there was a point where Superman made a xenomorph, and Superman had to find a there was not give too much away, but he was on a planet where he didn't have his powers, and he came across like a face hugger, so he had the xenomorph like creature inside him.
Oh my,
So just imagine like what would happen if you had an alien with Superman's powers. That would be pretty terrifying.
yeah, that would be insane.
Mhm. And
Xenomorph.
there's even been comics out there where you've had Batman fight a predator, you know. So yeah, it's you don't see it too much, but definitely in like around the 90s, they were just doing a lot of crossovers with that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Cool, man. Um, well, I'm gonna put that link back in to le chat. Where did I have it? I'm losing focus of these tabs.
No, I understand. I don't
For
know
the
how people could do it on their phone. I'm looking at it, it's like it's complex. It's easier on the computer.
yeah, it is. Um, so there's the link once again for Ronnie's GoFundMe, and again, it's in the description. And yeah, do what you can. We appreciate any and all help.
Most definitely.
Yeah. So what are you up to now? You at work or something?
No, I'm at home right now.
Oh, okay, cool.
Just got done eating dinner, seen that you were live, so I wanted to hop on.
Cool.
But
Nice.
I appreciate you shouting it out, sharing it.
Yeah, man, anytime, always try to support when I can, however I can. So,
Yeah, and that's what
cool.
it is, just a word of mouth.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, watch those, subscribe to the YouTube because then you can really keep up to date too with Ronnie. And,
Yeah,
he's always, as I'm sure, obviously, Ronnie, you're always welcome on the show. So you'll see him here from time to time, anyways. But,
yeah.
so.
But man, I'm gonna have to get going. Gotta
Mhm.
take my medicine before I have to go to bed. But I appreciate everyone who, shares it, donates, means a lot. Prayers, anything that helps, you know.
Yeah, yeah, and please share it on like Facebook, Instagram, wherever. Share the GoFundMe link as well, and everything, because that'll help too.
Yeah.
All right, man. Have a good night, and I hope feel get better, man.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You have a good night. Bye.
you too. Bye. All right, so that was our little intermission, and I'm sitting here trying to really badly draw Luke Skywalker for certain reasons that we'll get into actually. Um, but I was drawing it sort of from reference, but it was never. It was just meant to be like a little sketch. It wasn't meant to actually be that great of a likeness. Likenesses are hard though. At least I mean for people like me, not so much people like Dee Dee. Dee Dee's really good at them. I've seen her in action. What's the secret? What's the secret, Dee Dee, to drawing likenesses? I can do it sometimes, but sometimes it takes a few tries to really get it. But we'll get back into the story here too. I feel it's kind of funny because like after hearing Ronnie, I mean, I already know Ronnie's story. We've talked in private and stuff about it and all that. But you know, after having him on here, I'm like, what are my struggles with comics are like, man, why I really have no excuse, to making comics because I've been very healthy my whole life. And man, I think we just all have to be grateful if we have any health, if we're healthy, like yeah, be grateful for that because I've seen people in some pretty harsh health conditions, and it's not fun. And I do thank God, that I've been able to have good health. I've been able to have good eyesight and stuff still to this day, which I know a lot of people struggle with eyesight. Um, so I try to be grateful about that stuff, but I guess when you're not like in it, like somebody else is in it like that, sometimes it is easy to take things for granted. And I guess it's good to have those reminders, that hey, you might have a hard time, but you know, I don't know, it could be a different story. And there's people all around us that we can help, which is good too. It's always good to, be helpful and I don't know. I'm always trying my best to to do what I can, so even if it's not a lot, so let's see. Yeah. Try drawing it upside down. I know I agree because that's when you're I heard you say this on your stream the other day, like drawing what you see instead of, what you think you see and stuff. And I say that all the time as well, all that, kind of I don't know, I first heard about that concept really in school, but they taught it from that book, The Right Side of the Drawing from the Right Side of the Brain. And so I kind of first heard it from there, and I practiced it too. I've learned to do that. Again, I started by drawing from reference, but then since I've had Ronnie on and all that, I just kind of started making lines for fun. But yeah, I think you're right. Every time I do that, I am surprised at how it ends up coming out. I haven't done the upside down one, I don't think, but I have done like very much like I've done like the blind contour type stuff, and just I know that's not the same thing, but I've done. I did take some art classes, like college level art classes, and they were that's the kind of thing they were talking about. Like, don't draw what you think you see. Don't draw the thing in front of you. Draw. Try to pay attention to you know, especially when you're inking. Like, it's kind of silly because no matter how you ink something, it's always an abstraction because there are no lines in real life, like this, unless it's like something that's made, But there's lines that disappear and reappear, like, but or edges, I should say. It's actually easier. I don't know if it's easier, but it's like it's a little bit more understandable to translate it with painting and with color and stuff because the world is in color and all that stuff. And I know, Didi, you know all about that stuff. And yeah, I don't draw without reference. Yeah, exactly. You got to use reference. Trust in the force, you must. Totally. So, back to the story, I guess. Let me take a sip here of my water. I found these. You guys probably have seen these little bubblies. I'm actually doing a very, very low carb diet. So these things have literally nothing but bubbles and the tiniest bit of flavor in them. So it's a little bit, when I feel like having something more than water or different than water, that's what I have. I got different flavors and stuff. Pretty cool. It's not what I'm drinking yet, but I will crack it open soon enough. So, anyways, it's kind of funny that in some ways that Ronnie came on today because and there's a few other things that I've noticed in chat too where I'm like, huh, that's interesting that came up. So again, I was struggling trying to figure out like what the heck, what am I gonna do for my project? Like I feel like I'm like kind of lost, like without a comic project. Like I'm doing these art pieces and just like trying to put some stuff on eBay. And luckily, everything but one thing so far has sold on eBay. And I only put four things up so far, which is cool. But it's not super a lot of money or whatever. Um, and I'm just kind of trying to get the wheels going with making a little money from art, but also just enjoying the process of finishing pieces and stuff. But there's something where I'm like, I don't know what it is, but like and I talked about this before too, is like, I feel like I really want to get back to actually some comic projects because telling a story is kind of where my favorite part of art is, even though it's really hard. um, so I've been struggling. Okay, well, what do I do? And I'm looking over like all my old like ideas that I had and everything and like trying to think like what is like do I really feel like doing this one? Do I feel like doing that one? And to be honest, most of my old ideas I'm like they're good, but I just don't feel like I don't have that excitement for those ones anymore. They've been sitting there for a long time. Some of them I worked more on, some of them I worked less on. Uh, but so anyways, today I was thinking about it and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going through this whole thing. I'm like, do maybe I have to do 100 days of making comics again? But the thing is I didn't really want to do that either because I'm like, well, when I was doing 100 days of comics, like first of all, I started like from the very beginning. Like I think I started my first 100 days of making comics when Kevin was like partially through or mostly through his first 100 days of making comics when he created it. And so I've been doing this 100 days making comics thing like from the beginning, but then it was like um there was always a community around it and I was getting to know people who were involved and it was just a really exciting support group type of thing. But since a couple of years ago, that kind of group thing isn't really so much a thing anymore. Like there are people randomly who are doing 100 days of making comics, but they're like there's not really a community around it anymore. It's a whole, it's not even, it's almost like it dissolved and it doesn't exist, but it does still sort of exist. There's certainly a history. Um, and so it is what it is. Like, that's fine. Things come and go. I'm not, I, I've been doing my own thing and building with my community, which is all of you guys. And you know, enjoying that, and I'm kind of getting back to the swing of things because I had my whole thing with my divorce and all that. So it's like, that caused me to just take a break from comics. So now I'm in this like funny purgatory situation. But so today I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do? You know, and I'm going through some of my ideas, and it's just like there was one that I keep kind of coming back to, and I'm like, do I want to do like a superhero thing, or like, I just felt like nothing seemed like it was interesting enough. And so I was looking through some of my ideas, and I looked through one of my ideas last night from like old notes that I wrote, and I found out today actually that I wrote even more. I wrote a bunch of stuff for this idea, and it was the shadow star idea. That sounds a lot like Shatterstar from X-Force, but it's Shadow Star. And I definitely took that name like kind of from being like basically I felt like I never felt like that character in X-Force actually ended up having like a great story or anything. And but I really like the costume design. I was like, man, maybe there's a way I can at least kind of do my version of it or whatever. So I created this character, and actually, let me see if I can show the original design. It's kind of fuzzy because I don't even have, like, I lost a bunch of images that I created and stuff. Um, so I don't have much, but I do have this like one fuzzy version of it. So let me see if I can share something. Video file. I don't know. How does it work? No, I think I can share it, but for some reason, oh, I got to stop that screen. That's why. Share screen. Yeah. And then I don't think it's a Chrome. I think I can share it, but maybe not. Maybe because it's not up anymore. Let me see. Okay, now I can share it. Ah, there we go. All right. So this is what Shadow Star looks like. And, you know, it's just like I said, it's a fuzzy, image because it's like blown up from a small image that was like probably a screenshot. But this does show the design that I came up with. And so, you know, and I had this whole kind of story for this character. And I do like this design, but this design, I may still like keep some of it, but it's probably going to change. Um, so, anyways, that is that was the original idea, and he was going to end up being like kind of this um, Spock or Data, like from Star Trek type of character almost, or he sort of like that, but he like comes from another planet, and he comes to the Earth, and he has a mission, but he also turn ends up realizing like he doesn't really like humanity, like he doesn't like how they do things. There's a lot of bad stuff in humanity. Um, a lot of negative things, but he does kind of have this human companion who's helping him a little bit. And, the human companion, like friend or whatever, is like showing him, oh, maybe humans aren't so bad type of thing. So, and then there was like all this kind of other stuff I wrote about it. So that was the old idea. And the thing is like, I felt like a lot of times when I come up with ideas, it's like, I can't think of what the backstory is. I can't think of what the actual story is. I have a hard time like figuring out like what am I gonna do like with this character? Like even with my character Glyph, like it's like should I revisit Glyph and try to? But I've tried to write Glyph so many times, and for some reason I can't decide on anything substantial for him. And then I'm thinking, well, what about so like this comics we were looking through earlier, like what about SETI, what about the hitchhiker story, like, and I'm like, I have tried to write that further as well, and I just can't come up with anything like that really is exciting or interesting, especially for any longevity. um and so I was thinking about this one idea that I had, and this was just like a fun, like goofy idea that, well, not goofy, but it's just like it wasn't even an idea that I could ever use because it's using, you know, um, other properties, that aren't mine. But I just thought it would be a cool. Basically I did a patch. I did a music like a synthesizer patch one day, and it was like really dark, but it just like there was like these crazy sounds in it and everything, and it just made me think of like a Jedi in a cave, like where it's absolute pitch black, but he's got his lightsaber, and it's like it's like a horror movie almost, like, and there's like maybe like the like it's that's why it's kind of funny that that Ronnie was on today, because it's like, and he's maybe has xenomorphs, like he's being attacked by I mean, wouldn't like Luke Skywalker versus aliens, or versus xenomorphs, like that, like like I would love to see a Star Wars horror movie. And then it like I've had that idea for a while now, but every time I tell people about that, they're like, "Oh yeah, okay, cool, that sounds cool," but they don't really care that much. They're like, nobody is like, "Yeah, that would be awesome," And I'm like, I don't understand why, because to me it's like, "Yeah, that would be awesome." So, um, man, Luke Skywalker versus xenomorphs in like some kind of old like mine, or like this maze of caves where he can't find his way out, and it's played like literally like a horror movie. I mean, to me that sounds awesome. And then so I that thought dawned on me again today, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's such a cool idea. Like I wish people. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like people always say the advice of like, if you don't know what to write, take like your favorite movie or something, and kind of write your version of it. And there's popular movies and TV shows and comics and all kinds of things where people have actually done that. They've taken one of their favorite things, and they've done their own version of it. Like even Star Wars in and of itself is kind of that in a lot of ways. Like there's Seven Samurai and Kurosawa films. We were talking about that the other night. And also, I don't know, I kind of think that maybe he got some of that from Jack Kirby's New Gods, because there's a bunch of stuff like Dark Side. Isn't that like the name of the main villain? Dark Seed or Dark Side or whatever. And then there's like something that's in the comic that looks like the Death Star, things like that. And so like people take stuff from and repurpose it and remix it and make it their own all the time. So I'm like, well, why don't I just do that? Like I think it's a cool idea. Other people don't get it. So I have to make them get it, in my own way. And so then I was like, well, I have a character, that has like, cause his staff, it's like black, but it's kind of got Kirby crackles in it and stuff, but it's actually meant to be kind of like a lightsaber, but it's like a black lightsaber. So it does glow, and but it's a little bit different than like a typical lightsaber because it's black. So I don't know if that's a cool idea or not. I think it's cool, but it does stuff too. He has like powers with it or whatever. um it can help him like in the original idea, it can help him like teleport from short distances. um he can also like use it to kind of fly. Like he's his species and his planet, like their whole philosophy and everything revolves around like the concept of light, and that's kind of what they're all about. And his name is Shadow Star because and that's why kind of he's got the three circles, because he was born on a day where there was three eclipses because their planet has three suns, which I don't know how that works cosmologically, but who cares? So he was born on a day where there was three eclipses, and so that he was called Shadow Star. So that was my little kind of goofy name gimmick thing or whatever. But I think it's cool. It's like right from, the stuff I love about stories and kind of crazy 90s stories or whatever, adventure stories. And I mean, when you think about it, some of our favorite stories are actually, if you think about it, pretty goofy. But if it's executed well, it's interesting. So again, that was my old idea. So today I'm thinking about this and I'm like, okay, well, I can make like my own version of this like Luke versus the xenomorphs thing. Um and I already have a character who has kind of like this lightsaber type of thing. And now like this version of this character is like in the old version is like kind of like a he's got the build of like a Spider-Man, he's kind of lean but strong type of thing. But my now I'm going a whole different direction. It's not gonna like he's almost gonna be almost like a Conan character. There's gonna be a tribal element. And then I'm thinking, like, you guys have heard me talk about like these ideas with Enoch and stuff. I'm gonna be bringing in this story already had some stuff from Enoch kind of in it, and I'm gonna actually bring in some stuff from Enoch. And I'm thinking that I think it'll either be the first issue or like the first like three issues will be like the mini series to set it off, and maybe it'll continue after that, maybe it won't, but it's gonna be like a horror adventure story. And the thing is like, and I'm not gonna go into much more detail, but you know, it's gonna be like as I was thinking of this, I'm thinking of the backstory, I'm thinking of what his parents are like, I'm thinking about all these things that every time I've ever written a story before, I struggled to come up with those things, but they're just like coming and coming. Like the ideas are flowing like today when I was thinking about it, and I kind of wrote a bunch of notes down, and I'm gonna, now I have to kind of work on an outline and do like a rough draft and stuff, but things make sense. And there's ways like almost in a Jedi way where I can kind of have some of like my faith themes in there too, which is really cool, but not hit people over the head with it. It's more like I said, kind of almost like a Jedi type of thing but it's interesting. It's like an interesting way to do it without, kind of the way, Tolkien did it, but not the way C.S. Lewis did it. Or there's another example I was thinking of earlier today of somebody who kind of infused their faith. I mean, really, like even the Matrix kind of has themes of faith, and there's a lot of stories that have themes of faith, but they don't like hit you over the head with it. Basically, that's what I'm going for with this. It's more meant to be like this, starting off with this horror adventure, and then it's going to be, kind of a sci-fi sort of adventure story that probably will have elements of horror throughout it. I don't know. We'll see. Um, but I have a lot of ideas, now with it. So I'm really excited about this. And I was uh, on a stream, like chatting with on one of Joshua Kimball's streams, And I kind of he they everybody keeps asking me, well, what are you working on? What's your project? And I'm like, I said something like, it's funny I said it this way too, but I'm like, I'm kind of just feeling through the dark, trying to find out what my next project is. And Josh went on to talk about that a little bit, and he gave me the advice of like, just what, just um, pick something and go with it to the finish. And that's usually similar to the kind of advice I give people, and I think it's right. Like, just pick something, bring it to the finish, and just make the thing happen. It might not even be the right thing, but this is like, it's funny because the idea I had today is like, it reminds me of the thing that Peter Samedi says, which is, like when he gets submissions, he wants people to come to him with the story that they need to tell, and King Cryptid for him is a story that he needs to tell, and it's like a really good, um, and a lot of people are getting excited about it, and I'm one of those people because it's really a cool idea. And this seems very much to me like it's hitting like all the buttons that I need it to hit, where it's like, this might be that story for me. And I'm like super excited about that because, like, the beginning of this day, I wasn't feeling that way. And how I've been lately, I haven't been feeling that way about projects. I have been very excited getting back into YouTube, going on Dee Dee's channel, seeing her stuff, and her stuff is inspiring me to do like these YouTube videos and all this kind of stuff. Like, I've actually been thankfully getting back into the rhythm of that. I've been doing the eBay stuff, which has actually been fun, doing a little fan art, which used to be a struggle for me. Now it still is a struggle, but it's a little bit more fun because trying to I'm not trying to go into things so seriously. I'm just like experimenting and seeing what happens, and yeah, things seem to be kind of making more sense today, so hopefully that continues. And speaking about Dee Dee's show, tomorrow is Wednesday, tomorrow morning. What do you do at 8:30 usually, just like Monday? So I'm looking forward to listening to that while I'm working, and sometimes peeking at my phone as well and chatting a little bit. Um, and so that's cool. But yeah, like, I'm just so everybody check out Dee Dee's channel, by the way. Like, I don't know, to me it's really inspiring. And like I said, you guys might not have seen, but earlier in the show I was showing these things, and these are like these cool, this is what Dee Dee was doing on Monday, and she was showing how you can just overlay, tracing paper on like any kind of reference. It can be comic books, it could be, a magazine with any magazine or anything with figures, and then just focus on, doing the shapes, getting the elbow and the shoulder and the knees, and then putting the shapes of the legs, and kind of getting to know the proportions. I think it helps just by repetition of doing this, and by kind of observing as you're doing it. I think it helps to almost get that, like, what do you call it, the I don't know, just there's a word, there's a phrase for it, like, it's like you do it so many times, then eventually your arm just knows how to do it, basically, or your hand knows how to do it, because it's like you repeat things so it becomes like almost just natural to make those lines that go, or that kind of proportion, or it's kind of a mind slash physical thing. There's a term for it, and I wish I could think of what the term is. Muscle memory, that's it. Yes, muscle memory, that's what I'm looking for. So you get that muscle memory going on with your brain and your hand, I guess. So so yeah, Monday and Wednesday Eastern time, 8:30 a.m. Yes, definitely everybody check out her channel. um I should put the link in there for Dee Dee's channel too, since we're talking about it. Dee Dee Willingham. And it's not comics necessarily. I mean, they are doing zines and stuff, um, which is cool. But it's all. I think all the art and stuff is universal. And I mean, she's over here watching our comic videos, and it's because the art and stuff is just kind of universal. And you can learn from all of it. I feel like so. Um, yeah, it's like art and crafts. Yep. I was watching some of your videos on the collages, and you had this book. It was like the lost places, or the abandoned buildings or whatever, and you were doing like collages and stuff. That was really cool. I looked up the book online. Oh, and if you the only thing, this is my warning for going to Dee Dee's YouTube channel. This is important. Take caution. Um, you may possibly be enabled to purchase something while you're on her show. Not her stuff necessarily. Like she doesn't. I don't think you even really sell anything, Dee Dee. But but like she's always showing books and art materials and different things. And I mean, I'll tell you one thing. Last show, we were doing the videos, or she was doing the video and talking about that art concept book, the what is it called, the uh I know you're gonna put the words in there or whatever, the I know what it's called, but yeah, I know. Didi, do you do affiliate links? I don't think you even do that. Yeah, because you've said you don't do affiliate links. Yes, the skillful huntsman. um Yeah, I went online, and and other people were talking about, like, they put the link in the thing, and other people were seemed like they were talking about they were gonna maybe buy it, and I saw there was, like, a used one on Amazon for only, like, $8, and I'm like, "Oh, maybe I'll put that in my cart," and then they threw the link in the chat, and I was like, "Crap, somebody's gonna go get it before me. I have to buy it." So I bought it. So I got that coming to me in the mail, like, next week or something. So, yeah, I was, I definitely, you know, um, am able to be tempted to that kinda thing. Nathan, what's up? How you doing? Just arriving. Oh man, you missed a lot, man. uh wow. But yeah, hey, thanks for popping in for sure. Um yeah, I'm gonna have to get that book out to you. We've decided to hang out instead of doing the whole like mail it, because it kind of seems silly. We live like right near each other. Yes, I was so enabled. And I think because of that, somebody told me that I'm officially a FIB now, or whatever it is, the fibs or whatever, the friends in the box or something. So I guess I'm official now. um, but at least I'm keeping my man card, so that's important. So that's the funny thing, like, you know, sometimes it's some very non-manly stuff there, so if that threatens you, maybe it's not your show. But um I don't mind. She's setting up Barbies and making comics out of Barbie scenes and stuff, and I actually think that's kind of cool. um but she was like talking about, like, get fashion magazines and draw on top of them, and all that stuff, and I'm like, well, do I have to get fashion maybe I'll get muscle magazines. I gotta keep my man card, man. Yes, the fibs, friends in the box. So apparently, because I've been enabled, I'm officially a fibs. Here we got Joshua. F yeah, Marsh, listening in my car, but so stoked for your concept. Oh, cool. Thanks. Yeah, keep driving, man. Don't don't crash. But I really appreciate you chiming in, and I'm glad you heard it, because it's nice to know that you're heard, right? uh, yes, we'll make sure to keep your man card. Yep. Hey, honestly, I don't even actually have any. I feel like I have no insecurities in that area. Like, I don't care what people think of me, and also, I just know I know what I am, and I'm good with that. So, uh, hi, Didi. Inspiring to see inspiration. Absolutely. It's all around. Peter, what's up, dude? Hope you're having a good day, man. Um, you know, I hope everybody's having a good day. Absolutely. Um, I used to do that a lot. Draw from muscle nags helped me in learning anatomy. I need to do that. I used to do that too. I could probably bring up some old drawings where I did that at some point. But yeah, but I don't have any muscle mags anymore. I threw so much stuff away, guys. Like when I was like, going through my big change a couple of years ago with the situation that I was in, man, I threw away so much stuff. There's books that I'm like rebuying back now because I threw them away. Like I was a little bit in a not a rage, but I was not happy, obviously. And uh, you know, sometimes you just don't think and you're like, I won't need this. Rah, throw it in the garbage. So I did some of that. Um, let's see. Thanks, Didi. I was just hanging out with Karen while she was drawing. Oh, yeah, Karen who? Trying to think if I know a Karen. I probably do from the groups. Yes, thanks for being a rad support to all of us, Didi. I agree. Oh, you know what? I was supposed to go over that person. Is the person who put their story idea still here? Because we can go through that a little bit. Why do I get mech pen lead refills but not eraser refills? That is a good question. I mean, I think you go through the leads more quickly, but that doesn't mean that you know that doesn't mean that they shouldn't at least throw like an eraser or two in there. Or maybe you go through the eraser more quickly. Sometimes, yeah, those go pretty quick too. I used to use, I don't know if you guys use, well, is it a pen or a pencil? I used to use the mechanical pencils, a lot. That was like my main weapon for penciling, and I kind of like it, but I don't know. I don't have any right now, I guess, and I use this. Here, let me go back to the. I removed myself. Sorry, guys. Um, let me go back to this screen. So I use these lately just because I don't even have any mechanical pencils for some reason. I don't think I do. There's probably some laying around somewhere, but and then I have another one, and that one has this one has like I have the blue lead in it, which was a revelation to me. I didn't know they had these with the blue leads in them. That's freaking cool. Or you can get blue leads for them. So, I mean, I almost never use the blue lead pencil these days, but maybe I'll get back to it. I got to refill it. I have refills and stuff too. And then this was another revelation to me. I first saw Yanimal um, use these pencils, but I thought I have a hard time with it because I want it to have like I want it to write thick, because the whole point of using this to me, this big lead, was like so that it would be thick, so I'm not paying attention to detail. I'm only paying attention to like gesture and like shape and stuff, and then I go in the detail with a sharper pencil. But even when I like make it as round as I can or as flat as I can, it pretty much still does a thin line sometimes. I don't know. I mean, I have this thing. I was doing this earlier today actually, and if I just go straight flat with it, then it can work. But then I have to write like this. So, there you're getting a nice thick line, but I don't really I write at an angle though. That's the thing. So, I guess I don't know. I got to play with it. So, I guess I can do that way too. But I just got to always write like on the same side or pay attention to what I'm doing. But anyways, but it's a cool different tool that I never heard of. I never even seen anybody talk about it or anything. But I saw Yanimal using one, and so I seeked it out. Um, is it Niroyama who showed me the story? Because I want to go back and talk about that story. But if the person's not here, like maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe I don't want to. Yeah, I think that might have been in response to that. So I'll go back actually, because then I'll be able to see if it's you. But let me just finish going through this chat. I don't mind if anyone wants to borrow ideas. Yeah, jet pens. You were talking about that on your show, Dee Dee. It's such a freaking great site. I don't go there. I only go there once in a while when I can't find something at other places. But speaking about that marker case thing, I couldn't find it at Hobby Lobby the other day. I have to order it online if I order it, but I think I'm just gonna do without it for now. We'll see. Um, well, I shouldn't though because my all my like markers like the like Copics and other Copic like markers, the alcohol based markers, they're all sitting in, hopefully I won't dump this out, they're just all sitting in this plastic case up, standing up, and they're all a lot of them are kind of ruined because of that. So I was trying to find something that lays them flat because I know that's how you're actually supposed to store them. And I found something, but I guess I can only get it online. But it's only $15. But well, it ends up being like 20 something. And I keep buying stuff, and I need to like chill out until I can get my my. I mean, I'm just getting, I'm new to these new different bills, so I'm trying to make sure I can afford everything. I use them equally, like a normal pencil. Maybe I'm better off with the wooden ones. I don't know. They're convenient. The mechanical pencils, graph gear pencils. I don't know about that. You can buy size and leads. I like this. You aren't driving, are you, Josh? Well, yeah, LA traffic. That's true. You might be just sitting there, so I could see that. But be careful, dude. I saw you posted another video, Josh, and I watched a bunch of, I think one of your latest live stream. You were talking about Frank King, and I was like, yes, like I'm like kind of jealous that you're doing that page with kind of that in that style because the minute that I learned about Frank King and found it, I was like same kind of thing where I was like, oh, I want to make a comic like that someday or a page like that. So that was really cool when you said you were going to do that. But I wanted to say something else about your stream that now I don't remember. Oh, you did a video, kind of a smaller video, I guess, about what you talked about Frank King, I think, and you know, doing things that only comics can do. And I'm looking forward to watching that video, even though I saw kind of the longer version of it. So yeah, let's see what else we got here. Do do do. Chris Strings looks dope, Marsh. Thanks. Yeah, this is just a kind of silly sketch that I did it's supposed to be Luke Skywalker, but I did half of it without looking at reference. It was a really lazy sketch. I wasn't trying to really do it great. Um, Hobby Lobby has alcohol marker brand. Yeah, I noticed that when I was there. Yeah, I could set the case on its side, but they'll fall out. I think they'll pretty much fall out. You know, it's just not the kind of case that they'll stay in. But I'll figure something out. They're already kind of ruined at this point, unfortunately, so I might have to start over anyways. But I do want to get to the point, or maybe I'll just like clean them up and then add some new ink to them or something. Maybe I can fix them up a little bit. Yeah, always looking for an excuse to do the trick King did. Yeah, totally. So, all right, I'm gonna go back to that story, see if I can find the story that we were getting from that one person. Okay, I gotta find from Nero Yama. Do. It was in a few different parts, so hopefully I'll get all the parts. And everybody who's kind of jumping in now, I talked about my idea that I have for my comic, and I'm gonna take Josh's advice and pick it and do it till it's finished. So it's probably gonna be like yeah, but you might have to go back to the replay if you're interested. Um, but and also Ronnie Gunther has a fun GoFundMe or whatever. Um, so he could really use some help. There's links in the description to go check out what that's all about. It's basically, you guys probably know that he's got this chronic pain situation and all that. So, he's at the point where he's having some financial issues because of it. And so, yeah, if anybody wants to go help him out or share the link or, even just prayers, man, like, cause he's got a lot going on there, and he's still kicking butt, making comics and making cool videos. So I got a lot of inspiration from that dude for sure. Crimson Owl Comics, aka Ronnie, Ronnie Gunther. All right, so Nero Yama's story. Medieval fan. This is. She wanted us to, or me to, kind of let her know what I think of it. Now, this is the thing, Nero. That I just want to say, like, it's kind of tough to. I'm definitely not going to critique it, but it's tough to really have an opinion. I'm just saying, out of the get go, like, it's tough to have an opinion about a story idea, because um, it's not actualized. Like, the best. This is some advice I can give you before I even look at it, and that's, you know like I was talking about earlier, where I'm like, I have this cool idea. I think it's cool. It would be cool if, like, Luke was fighting xenomorphs in this like maze of caves where everything's pitch black, and I just think it's a cool idea. But a lot of times when I say that, nobody cares. Like, they're just like, they hear it, and there's not, like, to me, if I heard somebody say that, I'd be like, yeah, that's freaking awesome. Like, I feel like that's what I would say because I think it is awesome because I'm saying it, and I just think it's a really cool idea for him to fight, xenomorphs in pitch black with a lightsaber. um, so, you know, I say that and I don't get the reaction I like, or that I think that people should have, and it's the same thing with any idea. So I'm just saying, like, to be honest, the best way to kind of get somebody's reaction, first of all, you'd want to go to somebody that you trust, and who knows about story, who knows really well about story, And you'd probably want to go to them when you have like a finished script, because people don't really see your vision um, when they see a partial idea or a partial something that's just not close, not really finished. Like you can go with like a finished script maybe, or you could go with like the actual finished comic or whatever it is you're making, but then it's almost like too late at that point to get, advice. I'm not saying don't ask people, and I'm not saying you shouldn't have asked me. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm just telling you that from my experience, I I have had result when I've asked people things like this, I've had results that didn't make me too excited or happy, So that's kind of my little caveat. Hopefully it's not discouraging you. I think whatever it is your idea is, like, freaking do it, and, see what you can make of it, or do, a mini version of it, if it's kind of a huge idea. But here we go. Medieval fantasy, WWE style gladiators. It's a battle type story, but it has exploration and helping other oppressed lands, peoples. The world is huge and full of colosseums. Okay, so it's like this huge like gladiatorial thing where there's tons of gladiatorial things. Some colosseums abandoned, waiting to be reawakened through magic to discover hidden challenges and new abilities. This actually sounds almost like a game, kind of a cool game, like video game. um, I've actually had that's actually I was kind of going a similar way with Glyph with some of my writing. Let me take a sip of water. I'm gonna put my bubbly in the cup as well. Let's get a little ASMR going. Oh yeah. Didi did that the other day. I like ASMR too. I don't know how many people like it. Here we go. Isn't that so amazing? I don't even know if you guys can hear it. But yeah, I'm a fan of ASMR. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I guess that offends people who are into ASMR. But I have actually, I do kind of like ASMR stuff, some stuff. Anyways, the story mainly revolves around the underdog main character finding new mentors for said gladiators. Monsters, enemies turn into weapons. Very Final Fantasy Devil May Cry type. You're describing it pretty good. I think I feel like I have like a good kind of visual in my head. But the thing is too is like I might be like, "Oh yeah, this and this," but you actually, even though you say all those things, you may have it still may kind of have a different feeling for you, and it's hard to bring an idea across to somebody in the way that you see it yourself. It's just tough. Um Many crossovers to Terminator. Oh no, now you're just talking about what we were talking about. Okay, so that was the end um of that. So um yeah, I mean, it sounds like a really fun world to play in, and I think that you can have a lot of cool action plots in that world. Um, you know, it depends on like what you want to do with this story, like what kind of impact. It definitely seems like an adventure, plot driven story. It does not seem like it's probably not a character driven story, which is okay. Most stories aren't character driven stories. Um, most popular stories are not character driven stories. But there are popular character driven stories for sure. It's funny is I talk to people a lot of times about Terminator 2. To me, that's one of like for me, that's like one of the best stories. Like that hits on all my favorite things that I want my stories to be, basically, in a lot of ways. It's adventure, it's got like philosophical themes in it. It's deep, but not too deep where you can't just on a surface level enjoy just the action-packed stuff. But there's heart to it as well. And it actually is, I'm pretty sure it is character driven, really. Like one way, and I learned this from Fue Storm, also known as Lucifer Storm. Um, one way you can know if something is character driven or plot driven is if you take the character out and replace them with a different character, if you can still tell the same story. If you can't, then it's character driven. If you can, then it's plot driven. So if that character, if nobody else could be in that character's place, then you've created a character driven. Now, when it comes down to it, stories are actually both. Usually stories are at least a little bit of both. Um, so, just that's one thing to think about. I mean, it's not even pertaining. I'm just kind of talking about story now. I love talking about story. Um, but it's not necessarily pertaining to yours, but it does seem very plot driven, which is totally cool. Like, so, like, most comics are plot driven, you get into the indie world, you're starting to get into more character stuff, sometimes, but not always. I don't know. And there's neither is better or worse. They're just two different ways of approaching it. And people have different preferences. Some people, their preference is character driven. Other people, they really just want to be entertained in a plot driven story. I'm kind of both. I like both, but I really want to, for me, I'd like to move into, like, I think all of the stories I've made so far have been pretty much plot driven. I don't think I haven't been able to delve into character like I'd like to. Um but that's part of why I was struggling with finding an idea, because I want it to be something that has heart, that has character, that I do want it to be character driven, because I feel like I've been really affected by character driven stories. So again, this is the difficulty of sharing your idea, your story idea with people, is like I'm going on this rant about character driven and plot driven, and it's like that's probably not what you were looking for, to be honest. But you know that's but I think it's a cool world, and it makes me think of a video game, like it would be good for a video game, and it could be good for like a comic too, for sure. Like, freaking make it. Like, I would read that comic because it sounds cool to me, so that's that's kind of my thoughts on it. So let's see what the chats are doing here. And thanks for sharing. I think that's cool. Like I said, with Glyph, I kind of had an idea of doing that. Like, I wanted like the elements of hip hop, and even I wanted to bring in the elements of like punk rock too at some point. But I wanted the elements of hip hop to become like so much like a sport, where everything that everybody does within the elements of hip hop kind of become manifested in this like arena like thing, and they like fight each other, with their talents and stuff. And if you've ever read the book, I'm sure I have it. Yeah, I'll grab it. If you've ever read this book, again, I told you guys I really love James Stokoe. Wonton Soup. Like, this is literally a book where they have competitions with food, like making food. Like, this guy makes like the best wontons in the galaxy or something. Like, and it's just like wonky and crazy. Like, it's just like trippy type of, like, this is something he made and it turned into like this monster. Like this is just him practicing. And actually, there's a really cool line that I love from this. Let me see if I can find it. That I found like super inspiring. You people may or may not agree with this, but I think I think it's pretty cool, and it just pushes me to like um not want to be lazy with my creativity. Let's see if I can find where it is. I know it's somewhere in the beginning of this first book. I'm pretty sure. Um, if I can see the image, and I freaking love James Stokoe's artwork. Like it's so manga influenced, but it's also American influenced, and yeah, I think it might be here or close to here. He's talking about like the art of wontons, basically, right here. Um, da da da. This is definitely more on the adult side. I get a little bit more on the adult side. It's not like super like horror crazy, but there's swear words and probably some light nudity. I don't know. I don't remember. Do 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 do. Where is it? I really want to find this quote. I know it's like close to here. Do 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 do. Uh, oh, maybe it's where I put the dog ear. do 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 do. Man, I don't want to make you guys sit here. I'll just summarize it in a minute if I can't find it. I know it's so close to here. Oh, this is it. Nope, he's talking about space ninjas. There's space ninjas in this. I mean, come on. Wonton soup, number 1 and 2. You got to get it. You got to check it out. Oh man, I really want to find it. Anyways, so uh he's basically saying like somebody says like, basically they say something like there's nothing new under the sun or something. And oh man, I really wish that I could find it cuz he says like that's just something like lazy people say or something when they're not like creative or something, but the way he says it is great. But I'm not going to be able to find it. Now it's getting into the story. It takes forever for them to actually get into the story, but that's one thing like this like it's like I don't know, like I think that's actually one thing that comics can do that other mediums can't do. Like you can kind of do it with novels too, but you can like just kind of wander into weird territory. Like Stephen King certainly does that. Like wanders into descriptive territory that's like maybe not super important to the overall story. Um, but you know, and then come back because there's so many words. Well, in some I think in some comics, it like to me, I don't feel like Wonton Soup is like a great story. It's kind of just an excuse for him to draw cool things, and there's kind of a story in there. And I enjoyed it. I love both of these books so much, but it's not like it's not going to be like some amazing story. But it's worth the fun. It's worth it just for the fun of it. So I almost feel like in some ways that gladiator story could be that, or you could take it to a level where there's some really you know poignant story going on as well. Oh yeah, Peter says Karen Lewis Bonfiglio, and she was involved with at least one of the 100 Days of Making Comics anthologies that I showed earlier. And yeah, I haven't heard from her in so long. We were supposed to be doing that like romance comic and stuff, and I wrote mine, and I was having Teresa draw it, and then I still she's still willing to finish it too, and I want to because it's a cool little story. So that's still kind of there, but a little bit on the back burner. But I wonder where I didn't know. That's cool that she did a video. I'll have to check that out. Um, let's see. All right, I'm trying to catch up with the old comments here. All right, I think I'm kind of caught up. We got Hanif Mazuki. Hopefully, I said that right. Keep up the good work, Marsh. Your video about making mini comics is the reason I'm started my own comic project. See, this is what I tell you guys all the time. Like I get comments like this all the time from that video, and it's so encouraging. I love it. Like, thank you, Hanif, for letting me know, and I'm so happy that you started your own comic project. Like that is awesome. Like, keep it up, man. Do it. Um, do do do. Yes, see, Josh knows. Yes, do it. Making 10-page comics still at the lettering process. Hey, awesome. That's awesome. That's okay. Yeah, I just wanted to critique. I think I read all 3 parts. ASMR, yes. I don't, oh, sorry. Sorry, Dan, that I put you through that. Dan's going to take back his super chat he sent me the other day. The one wrestler character must wear a luchador mask. That would be cool. It's meant to be fun more than serious, but yeah, thank you for reading it. Anytime. I hope it was helpful. Was thinking of calling it Spirit Metal. Oh my gosh, I love that title. Spirit Metal? Yes, do that, please. I want that book right next to my wonton soup book. Sideburns, have you heard of zombies ASMR with rain and wind? I don't know about that, but that sounds interesting. Good, I'm glad it was helpful. Driving by to say hello. What's up, Deist? That was a great explanation between character and plot driven. Thanks, Nathan. I talk about it and think about it a lot. Sometimes I'm actually clear headed enough to say something that makes sense. Do, 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 do. Let's see. Where has Teresa been? I know, right? I haven't gone to her channel recently, but I'm pretty sure when I did look, she hadn't done videos in a while. I think she's kind of done with that kind of thing. She has a nice life. Like she likes, she likes her job. She's a teacher and stuff. So, I mean, I'm not going to talk about her personal stuff, but I think it's well known that stuff. But I think she's probably making comics and doing the same thing she's been doing, just not as publicly. I haven't talked to her in a while. I would like to reach out though and see what's going on. Slow builds are perfect in comics. Yeah, yeah. I wonder if Rocky would be a good comic. Did they ever make a Rocky version of comics, or a comic version of Rocky? Because that is a very slow build, but it's such a fun build, and like the story doesn't even start until like halfway the movie's already done. Like, but it's just this character study like that. Rocky is a character driven movie if there ever was one. Like, absolutely. You can't do that movie without Rocky Balboa and without Stallone playing him, in my opinion. Got to go. Have a good night, Marsh. Thanks for hanging out, Dan. Yes, you are welcome. Hanif Mizuki says, I like wonton soup. Love the art and comic about food is very rare and interesting topic. Thanks for the info, Marsh. Yeah, no problem. It's funny because like, you know, you could tell how influenced it is from like manga and anime and stuff because I mean there's a comic, I think it's literally called Food Fight. Like, in that comic is more popular. It's not the most popular manga, but it's up there, and it's like far more popular in the whole world than Batman is. Think about that for a minute. Like, as far as like sales and all that stuff, like most most of any of like Japan is blowing us away, when it comes to impact with comics and sales and all. Like, we always talk about the comic book industry and who's doing better, who's doing worse, and we don't even compare to what Japan's doing. And I mean, I've done whole videos about this. Like, we need to learn from what Japan's doing and see you know what we can you know put into our own, what we're doing. And there's a lot that can be done. So, but that's a whole nother kind of big topic. Again, I did a whole video on it. I actually get a decent amount of views still on that one. It's not like super huge video, but people dig it. I get comments once in a while. Nathan says, I did a quick search and found some comic pages for a Rocky 3 adaptation. There might be a Rocky comic out there. I know, it's like you never know. There could be. Drew, what's up? How you doing? Good to see you here. Well, I think that's about what I got for tonight. Like, if you guys I'm gonna do some more giveaways and stuff. But I want to kind of spread it out a little bit. I have a few things still. Um, I'm probably going to get more into those in the coming weeks ish. So that'll be cool. I'm just going to keep doing videos. I won't have one tomorrow, but we'll see about the next day. It seems like I'm doing a every other day type thing these days, but it's really fun. Um, and I really enjoy you guys hanging out with me, and I really appreciate you guys listening to my story because I know how boring it can be sometimes. Like, when people are telling you about their ideas and stuff. Like, so I'm glad that you listen. And let me just once again throw that link in there for Ronnie. Go help Ronnie out. Like, he's an awesome dude. He needs some help, and I think it's a great way to support your fellow artist. So here's that link again. It's also in the description. Um, Didi says, this was fun, Marsh. Hope you keep doing them. Thanks. Yeah. This is the way I like to do videos anyway. I love doing live streams, and this is kind of a new way to do it. It's not new. I mean, you've been doing it for a million years, well, or 12 years. I think you said, I don't want to say a million, but, um, but this whole top down view it's very common. A lot of people do it, but I always had a hard time setting it up and everything. Oh, thanks, Dee Dee. You're awesome. I really appreciate that. Um, but I finally got a setup where I'm able to do this at ease, and it's just always there. And so I think we're going to be doing a lot of these kind of videos. So thank you everybody for hanging out. And I will talk to you on the next one.